What's up everyone, Xygor here, and Season 2 of Diablo 4 is finally upon us. So I wanted to take this opportunity to showcase the Whirlwind build once again. It's been a build that I've used since the launch of Diablo 4, and there's been lots of changes down the pipeline to the Barbarian class. So this is going to be an all-encompassing build guide where I get into the skills, the aspects to choose, your gems, your expertise, your Paragon boards, and even the seasonal mechanic Vampiric Powers to choose. This will be an all-encompassing guide for the Whirlwind build in Season 2. So let's just jump right into it. Starting with the skills, we have Rallying Cry, we have War Cry, and we have Challenging Shout. So all three shouts, we're going to be using them basically on cooldown. This is kind of your Fury generator, this is going to be your damage boost, and this is going to be your defensive skill. That's rough generalities, but those are the main purposes. This is going to be Wrath of the Berserker. This has been changed a little bit as far as how the damage calculates, but super impressive skill and very good in this build. For our generator, we have Lunging Strike, just like it was in Season 1, and then we have Whirlwind. So let's get into the gear. So with your gear, for the helmet, you want this new unique, the Tusk Helm of Jorts the Mighty. This has a higher opportunity to drop off Duriel. It has really good power, and it's better than just taking a helm with a lot of cooldown. You're going to get a lot of damage reduction through aggressive resistance passive, and you're going to do more damage, you're going to get more rage, and you're going to have cooldown when you berserk twice. This whole build basically revolves around berserking uptime and being able to berserk constantly. So this is a great item to have. We have Rage of Harrogath as our chest, unique chest that allows our cooldowns to recycle quicker. It's going to be able to make our shouts have way more uptime. This is a pretty well rolled one except for the first roll, but we have a lot of damage reduction from bleeding. That was upgraded in this patch, and I have 40% here. For gloves, you have a few choices until you get the other two uniques I've already mentioned, but right now we're putting Relentless Berserkers aspect on this. This gives the opportunity to extend the duration of your berserking when your core skill hits via lucky hit. And again, you're going to be doing a lot of crits. You want to stack lucky hit to an extent in this build and get your berserking up. And for these rolls, you want to have the critical strike chance, lucky hit, and max ranks of Whirlwind. The fourth roll can be multiple things. I have strength right now. You can also use Gor's Devastating Grips, and in fact I was from about level 76 when I first got them to 100. It's actually very good now. They took the attack speed roll off, they gave it a crit chance to close enemies and a big damage modifier on it. So it's actually really good, but the problem is it doesn't really fit into the best in slot at the end because you need to have Relentless Berserkers on something, and you don't want to put it on your neck because we'll talk about that in a second, but this is going to have disobedience. So until you get these two legendaries, the helm and the chest, you can use Gores, but once you have them both, I would go with a really well-rolled Relentless Berserker. Pants, we have just a straight-up mitigation pants. This has the aspect of Numbing Wrath on it to give me more Fortify. As you can see, this is a very well-rolled item. I have armor, max life, damage reduction, and damage reduction from close enemies. All four very good modifiers. Alternatively, you could take one of the damage reduction away and make it either damage reduction from bleeding or damage reduction while fortified. Both of those are good too, but this is a very well-rolled pants. You can use Tybalt's Pants. That's a damage boosting pants. That is a new unique introduced in this season, but I found that the rolls on that are just rough. So this is what I'm going with, and it's working well. For boots, we have a Ghost Walker aspect. Very good aspect that we've constantly used since about the launch of Diablo 4. It's just a really good one, and it gives you movement speed, berserking duration, damage reduction while injured, and fury cost reduction. All four of those are good rolls. Instead of the damage reduction while injured, you could go with the one that gives you a speed boost when you kill elites. That one is nice too, but these are good rolls. Berserking duration max is very helpful here. So these are the ideal 4 rolls. For weapons, we've changed some of the priorities here because vulnerable damage was nerfed. So right now we're really looking for, this is the ideal on the one-hander, is strength, crit strike damage, core skill damage, and damage while berserking. Instead of core, you could go with close. I don't have all 4 of those on a mace yet, so my mace has bleeding instead of berserking here. That's something I want to get soon, but I'm not using this as my attack weapon. This is a stat stick. I have Whirlwind tied to my axe. So same stats on all items. This one I have all stats, but otherwise good rolls. The axe is very good. This one has the rolls that I need. I went crit, close, and berserking. And your expertise you want to take is sword if you're using axe, and you want to take axe if you're using a sword. Sword is ideal for your two-hander here because you're going to get the guaranteed implicit critical strike damage roll. That is still good, although damage to healthy enemies is also a pretty good roll. So same priorities on all weapons. On this one we have Limitless Rage, really good damage boost. We have Expectant here, and we have Edge Masters here. Both of these get baked into your Whirlwind when you channel it, so it snapshots into your Whirlwind. So if you have this up to 30%, boom, it goes into your Whirlwind for the entire duration of the Whirlwind, and Edge Masters gets baked in whatever Fury you were at when you started to do it. This is Berserk Ripping, just an additional damage. For the neck, we have Disobedience. This is crazy. It got buffed, so our armor boost on this can go all the way up to 99% when you put it on a neck. I don't have the highest roll yet, but that's fine. My rolls on this are pretty good. It's not really totally optimal because the cooldown reduction roll is kind of low, but damage with two-handed slashing weapons, that's good. Fury cost reduction, very good. Another low roll there, unfortunately, though. And +3 ranks to all defensive skills. This is fantastic, and that really helps your challenging shout uptime. Not uptime, but just the power of the damage reduction on it. The rings, you need to have the Echoing Fury and Bold Chieftains aspects. Those are must-haves. It took me a long time to get a Bold Chieftains. Unfortunately, if you don't have that yet, use the one that gives you Fury per second while berserking. That's also pretty good. But on these, we generally want to prioritize crit strike chance, crit strike damage, damage while berserking, and resource generation. This ring is not prioritizing that because I don't have resource generation on it, but it's still a very good ring. You could take damage to close instead of berserking, but you at least want to have one of your 2 rings have resource generation. It's really important because we're taking unbridled wrath with this build. So that is basically the gear. Let's get into the skills here. Skill tree. So skill tree, we have lunging. Oh, and just a reminder, there is a link in the description below to the build guide that has the skills in it. We have lunging strike, upgraded to combat lunging strike, gives us berserking. Whirlwind, maxed out, very important. Up to Furious Whirlwind, gives us a little bit more bleed damage. Going down here, we have Rallying Cry. I only have 1 point into it. The 3 is a boost from my bonus from the neck. Also another bonus of having all defensive skills on your neck. We have that going to Tactical Rallying Cry. Just a very good booster there. We have Challenging Shout here. Challenging Shout is our damage reduction. We're going to be spamming this. It's going to have close to 100% uptime once we're totally optimized. It's super incredible damage reduction. Right now it's 54% when I have it at rank 8, which is awesome. War Cry, we have that upgraded to Mighty War Cry. This is fantastic because it grants you berserking and just a really big powerhouse. We have Booming Voice 3, very important for shouts. We have Raid Leader, gives you a little bit more healing. Guttural Yell gives you more damage reduction, very important because we stack a lot of damage here. And we have Swiftness 3, just makes you a lot speedier, and that's really important for farming. This build farms basically quicker than almost any other build in the game, so it's very helpful. We have 3 Aggressive Resistance. It's upgraded +4 because of my helm, so you get damage reduction while berserking on top of all the other damage reduction. It's awesome. And then 3 Prolific Fury. This gives us more Fury generation, also very important. Pit Fighter 3, more crit. or more increased damage to close enemies, and some damage reduction. We have 1 in hamstring. It just basically slows healthy enemies. Every attack we have bleeds enemies, and it's just slowing them. Gives you another way to deal damage if you have plus slow. Thick Skin 1, the only point to taking this is to get 3 counteroffensive. It just allows you to deal increased damage when you have fortified over 50%, which is a lot of the time. Heavy-handed 3, more damage with two-handers. And we have Wrath of the Berserker ranked up to full with Supreme. And then right here, we're going Unbridled Rage here. I remember last season we went Gushing Wounds because it had a mechanic synergy with the Barber, but that no longer exists. So we're going on Unbridled Rage. It deals a lot of damage. For gems, in your armor, you want red gems. These are max life gems. Your Fortify stack, or your Fortified is now based off max life, so it's most helpful to go red in this slot now. With weapons, we still have green. You're going to do increased critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. Basically, everything we hit is vulnerable because of our glyph, and I forgot to say we have 2 points in pressure point as well. And for jewelry, we want to put diamonds. This gives us resist all. Resist all very important now because they changed the resistance system, making this something of a priority. You'll notice that necks and rings also have resistance rolls on them. This build does not stack a ton of resistance, and that is one of its downsides when you're going the way I'm going, because I'm going a full speed clear build. But you can start putting those rolls into your gear as you get them. Alright, let's talk Paragon boards. Again, click the link in the description below if you want to see this. Basically, at a glance, this is going to be a way to just guide through it. So we're starting off the first one, Ire. We can get 70 strength in this cluster, which is fantastic. This allows us to get more damage while berserking, which is basically the most powerful thing in this build. That damage is a huge multiplier, and it's very good. Then we're going up here to the next board. This is the Weapons Master board. We have Martial here. Martial allows the cooldowns of our shouts to be reduced, very helpful. And we're also taking Hunter Killer here. Just more damage to elites, and movement speed is really good. Next board, we have Carnage board. We're going with Wrath here, just stacking more critical strike damage, and also skills that critical strike generate 3 fury. This is really going to help you continue dishing out damage while you're spinning to win with this build. You can also get Brash and Fierce here. We're kind of doing a jaunt off of the main path to go to Blood Rage here and get this. This is a super important legendary node. Look at it. Killing a bleeding enemy has 10% chance to gain berserking for 5 seconds. You just constantly destroy bleeding enemies, and your damage is increased by 25% of your damage while berserking bonus. So more damage and more berserking, can't go wrong with it, and we can get enraged on the way here. More damage while berserking and berserk duration. It's fantastic. Alright, going up to the north, we take Enraged, and then when we get to the Bonebreaker board, we're going with Exploit. Exploit makes your enemies vulnerable. You're also going to have Pressure Point to help with that a little bit, but between the two, basically everything will be made vulnerable, and we're getting 39 dex here. Vulnerable is not nearly as powerful as it was in the last season and in the last patch, but still adequate, and this is still very valuable because we have a lot of things like the green gems that amplify our damage to vulnerable targets. So it's still good to go for here. Next board, we are on the Warbringer board, where we're taking Territorial. Territorial allows you to do more damage to close enemies and get damage reduction from the close enemies. Get raw power over here. You can probably meet that dex bonus roll if you try. And condition. This is really hard to get. You're not going to get the willpower for that, unfortunately. And then last board, we're going up to Disembowel. Disembowel will allow you to do more damage and reduce your cooldowns of your non-ultimate skills by a lot, because again, we're killing a ton of bleeding enemies. All this damage adds up and enemies die quick and everything's bleeding essentially. So this is fantastic. We're not stacking points in this radius because you don't get a huge damage boost from physical damage over time, but the cooldown is really important. Alright, seasonal mechanic. Let's go to the Vampiric Powers here. Vampiric Powers. So first one I'm taking is Resilience. Resilience allows me to gain 1% damage reduction for each 2% life I'm missing. Really great for damage reduction. Really helps bail you out a lot. A Cursed Touch. It gives you a big chance to inflict Vampiric Curse on enemies. And this is important because it synergizes with other attacks, and the stored souls that you have deal 200% increased damage by way of the seasonal attack. We have Sanguine Brace here, which just gives you more Fortify, and then also when you have more Fortify than half your maximum life, you gain 8% critical strike chance in addition to what you already have. So this is really powerful. Bathe in Blood. This one is perfect for Whirlwind. This forms a pool, and your Whirlwind is channeled. So when you sit in that red pool while you're damaging enemies, you deal 40% increased damage and gain 30% damage reduction. It's absolutely fantastic. This is pretty amazing for this build. It's basically built for this build. This is a must-have. And then we have Prey on the Weak, so we're doing increased damage to vulnerable enemies, and then enemies are vulnerable while affected by a Vampiric Curse from your other Vampiric Powers. So again, synergizes with what we have. Let's just show you a little gameplay right here. Alright, let's do this Flooded Depths run here. Basically, you're just using your shout when you get to enemies, all 3 shouts, and then you're spinning. You want to use the defensive challenging shout selectively when you see elites. Same thing with Wrath of the Berserker. Also, when there's many enemies around, also helps for challenging shout. So basically, I'm just going around spinning to win, killing everything, and it's all hunky-dory. This is the way to spin to win through Season 2, and let's just destroy this big elite pack like it's nothing. Alright, let's do the new boss Xygor here. So this is going to be boss DPS. We're going to charge in, do our shouts and Wrath of the Berserker, and start spinning in the pool. Remember, this is your big damage pool. And that's basically it. We're just basically frying the boss. When there's downtime, you're going to have to generate up again. Just keep it going. But that's it for boss DPS. Alright, just a few pros and cons about the Whirlwind Barbarian. As far as pros go, virtually no other build can clear Nightmare Dungeons as fast as we can as a Whirlwind Barbarian. And it's just super quick at speeding through the instance, getting to the boss, getting your glyph EXP, and moving on. It's also super fast and efficient at collecting Helltide Cinders. So like I said, this is a super quick farming build, and that's really its biggest pro, and it's really fun because of that. As far as cons go, though, this build does not do very high single target boss damage, and that's pretty unfortunate because in the endgame you'll be farming a lot of bosses, farming Duriel, etc. It also doesn't benefit from overpower at all. We can't proc it as a Whirlwind Barbarian, which is pretty unfortunate because the Blizzard buffed overpower significantly in the last patch, and that's what one of the things is that makes Hammer of the Ancients, Upheaval, and Double Swing beat us out. But it's still a fun spec. I still want to optimize it, push it forward. Check the link in the description below, and let me know in a comment, how do you think this build can be optimized? Is there anything that you found that I didn't that makes it a lot more powerful? Just let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel, and there'll be more build guides coming in the future for Season 2.